You check the account near the end of the month and the number is lower than it should be. No holidays, no big purchases, nothing reckless. The money is just quietly gone. By the end of this video, you'll have a real monthly cost of living picture, not a national average, and the three choices that actually close the gap without cutting your lifestyle. Some renters pay up to $17,000 more a year for the exact same size home, purely because of the suburb tier it sits in. We tracked every dollar ourselves for a month, what we actually pay for rent, groceries, and getting around, then checked it against real rental and cost of living data. Quick note before we go further. This is general information only, not personal advice. Your own numbers will depend on your household and where you live. Here's the reframe. It's not that everything is expensive everywhere. Most of the gap comes down to three choices: where you live, how you shop, and how you get around. Living close and feels easy, everything is nearby, and you barely need a car. The trade-off is the certain guaranteed cost. Rent here eats the largest single slice of income of any suburb tier. Move to a middle-ring suburb and rent drops noticeably for the same floor plan. It's a reasonable middle ground, still a manageable commute, still close enough to most things you need. Push further out to a cheaper pocket and the same size home can cost thousands less a year. On paper, it looks like the easy win: more space, lower rent, simple. Here's the catch most people miss. Cheaper suburbs are often further from trains and frequent buses, so the rent you saved quietly gets spent on a car you didn't need before. It matters whether you rent or own too. Owners escape rent increases, but a home loan taken on in the last couple of years carries its own large, fixed monthly repayment either way. So here's a question worth sitting with. If a cheaper suburb meant buying a second car, would you actually still be ahead, or would the transport cost quietly cancel the saving out? At a major supermarket, a full weekly shop for a couple lands solidly in the hundreds of dollars, convenient, reliable, and the most expensive way to buy the same groceries. Switch the same basket to a discount chain, and the total drops meaningfully, usually 20 to 30% cheaper, as long as you stick to the list and skip the weekly specials trap. That middle aisle of random bargain finds is exactly where the discipline breaks down. Stick to the list, and the discount chain wins easily. Wander at every visit, and the saving quietly disappears. Add a local fresh produce market into the mix for fruit, vegetables, and herbs, and a couple can save around $150 a month compared to supermarket-only shopping. The gap on individual items can be dramatic. The same kilo of tomatoes that costs several dollars at a major supermarket can be a small fraction of that at a good local market stall. The bigger leak is usually eating out. 2 coffees a day and dinner out twice a week adds up fast, often the single largest discretionary cost in a normal household's month. If public transport genuinely covers your commute, it's the cheapest option by far. A capped weekly fare beats almost anything else, as long as the trains and buses actually run often enough. Running a car full-time is a different story. Registration, insurance, fuel, servicing, and depreciation stack up into one of the largest ongoing costs a household carries, even for a small car. Most households outside the inner city end up somewhere in between: a car for local trips and errands, public transport for the commute. It's rarely the cheapest option, but it's usually the realistic one. Lay a normal household's month out by category, and housing dominates everything else combined. Groceries, transport, and discretionary spending all sit well behind it. For a family of 4, almost every number on that board grows. Housing needs an extra bedroom, groceries roughly double, and one new category appears that changes everything: childcare. Utility bills arrive quarterly, not monthly, which hides how big winter heating really gets. A 3-bedroom home running ducted heating through the coldest months can see gas costs jump sharply that quarter. A free government energy comparison tool takes about 10 minutes and can save around $500 a year, yet most households never switch off their default plan to check. For families, childcare is the number that changes everything. Even after the subsidy, most working households still pay a daily gap fee that adds up to over $1,000 a month. That subsidy isn't the same for everyone either. Lower-income households can receive most of the fee back, while a typical dual-income household usually lands somewhere in the middle, worth checking your own rate directly. Bulk billing is getting harder to find, so a family visiting the GP a few times a year now often pays out of pocket, before private health insurance premiums even enter the picture. There's a genuine incentive to decide early too. Health insurers add a small yearly loading to your premium for every year you wait past your early 30s to sign up, a real cost of delaying. Even a free state school comes with levies, uniforms, excursions, and camps every year, real money that rarely shows up when people first estimate what a family actually costs to run. Now for the part that's less exciting but more important: the costs that quietly drain a budget because they don't show up as a line item every single month. Car registration, home insurance, dental checkups, and servicing don't hit monthly, so they feel invisible until they land all at once, often adding hundreds a month once averaged out. The fix is a sinking fund, moving around $300 a month into a separate account, so those annual bills arrive as money already waiting, not a surprise. A city with great food, events, and culture is also relentlessly good at monetizing all of it. None of it is a mistake to enjoy, it's just worth being intentional about. Pick 2 or 3 things a month that genuinely matter to your household and let the rest go. The saving isn't dramatic, but it compounds quietly over a year. Changing rentals usually means a bond, rent in advance, and removalists all at once, easily $6,000 up front, before a single box has actually moved. If a move is coming, budget for that upfront wall ahead of time, or negotiate an overlap between leases so it doesn't land as one brutal, unexpected hit. So here's the one action for this week. Export last month's transactions and tag every single line. Not to feel guilty about it, just to see the real baseline instead of a hoped-for one. Once you know your actual monthly total, the suburb, the shop, and the transport choice all become decisions you're making on purpose, not habits quietly making themselves. If this helped map your own numbers, subscribe. We run the real numbers on one Australian household question every week.